Hello, and welcome to another battle replay. Today we got a showdown between Housecat of War's Lizardmen and Tim the Wilder's Slaanesh. This is a game from the Total Tavern Season 3 finals we had a couple of weekends ago, and it should be quite a banger, so get ready. For the forces of Slaanesh, we have pretty typical, just Sigvald backed up by Skirmish Cav, a bunch of Chaos Warriors, some Marauders, typical good stuff build, just taking to bring all the really good units. And Prosper, which Slaanesh is pretty good doing on this patch, They've been top dog, pretty much undisputed for quite a while. So let's see what Housecat has cooked up to counter it. And we do see right away we have quite an odd build. We have Tehenoin on his Engine of the Gods with Plaque of Sotek, Flock of Doom, Wisson's Wild Form, and then just the basic abilities as well as, all the abilities that come with his kit. And he's actually a really, really strong duelist, and I think he can actually pretty much 1v1 Sigvald, because he does have, Frenzy on the Engine of the Gods. Is that a Stegadon or Bastildon? Don't recall. But he's good bonus burst infantry, hits really, really hard, especially when he's backed up by the Thunderous one, the ROR Ancient Stegadon, which has this Judgment of Uxmak ability, which is just a AoE bombardment when it's in melee, which is actually pretty good for clearing out armored infantry, which is very, very relevant against Slaanesh. So it's actually not a bad tech, and especially since Slaanesh really struggles to kill those large single entities. Slaanesh doesn't have a whole lot of single entity killing power, especially AP. They kind of rely on their Cav and their Skirm Cav and Siggy to do all their SEM killing, which none of those things are really AP. The Hellstriders aren't AP, Seekers are, but they're pretty squishy, so they tend to just get destroyed by all the Skirmish Cav that Lizards have, which we do see right here, Skink Skirmishers, backed up by Saurus Warriors with shields. And a Rev Crystal as well coming in to heal up those big dinos. So this should be an interesting showdown, because Siggy really can't do what he wants here. If he gets too ambitious, either one of these dinos I think can just come along and slap him silly. So he needs to be very, very careful. And the Slaanesh forces are going to have to rely on their Skirmish Cav to actually try and shut down these big boy dinos. Curious to see if these guys can actually clear the infantry quickly enough, because the Slaanesh Chaos Warriors are very, very well statted for their price, and the armor makes them pretty hard for the Saurus Warriors to take down, as well as their incredibly high melee defense. So Lizardmen really need some kind of other punching power to shoot through all this armored infantry, and I'm curious to see if these guys can actually be that solution. So we do have Slaanesh take an uncontested cap on objective number 3, while Lizardmen set up for 1 and 2. Just setting up a nice little formation right here, and Slaanesh is going to try to get a nice surround around the sides, but this map is fairly narrow. You see the white line is already right here, so it's not a lot of good places for them to get around, which does limit their abilities to get those flanks and get off that devastating flanker pass effect that a lot of their units do have. Early on, the Slaanesh skirmishers are actually kind of scared of the skink ones. Skink ones hit pretty hard and are quite a bit cheaper, so it's not really a good trade for them, so they have to be played pretty passively and just let their infantry take the hits, which is not really what you like to be doing in Slaanesh, but you don't have a much better choice. Stegadon is just getting some good shots in. It doesn't do a whole lot at range, I find. The machine gun is alright, but it's mostly about the melee prowess of this guy. He takes a nice volley from the skirmishers, but just the 130 armor means that they don't even do a whole lot of damage to him. We got Tehenoin going in on Siggy and just sends him flying. And Siggy just pulls himself up off the ground. That's a good hit coming in. Prox Slippery is popped, and that's actually kind of a wasted ability, because, Tehenoin's like, alright, you popped your ability, now I'm going to just go eat your infantry, which is my real goal. And he does a pretty good side charge, so. Let's see. Yeah, so just squaring up, getting some skirmishing coming in. Tehenoin's just trying to intercept the Slaanesh advance, slow down the Chaos Warriors. Saurus are starting to grind against those Slaanesh Chaos Warriors. I just love all the different Chaos Warrior variants. Just all the different pinks and purples and red and green. They're just so cool. Especially I'm quite partial to the Slaanesh color scheme. Pretty good. Nice pit of shades coming down on the Saurus. Does seem to miss quite a bit of them, which is very fortunate for the Lizardmen. Far side, the Thunderous one is doing a pretty good job of tearing up these infantry, looks like. Yeah, the bombardment comes actually doing really good damage. Choose a nice hole right in those Chaos Warriors. Already up to, let's see, about 250 value just off of that. Nice beam coming as well, just deletes units of Chaos Warriors. They get in the other one as well. Gets in these Marauders, and not quite. But does remove one more armored threat from the field for the Lizardmen. Tehenoin is just continuing on his rampage. The Bastildon coming as well, throwing a heal on him as well. But I'd love to see him kind of come in and just actually pick a fight with Sigvald. Because as we saw earlier, he should beat the brakes off him, but I suppose killing him is more important. He is also running into a little bit of resistance with spawn, but the Skink Skirmishers can actually do pretty good damage putting him down pretty easily. What reinforcements we have coming in? We got some more Saurus Warriors and just a lot of Skink Jabs, yeah. So I figured just more and more bodies to support these big SEMs that you have really grinding on the front line doing good work. Which seems to be an effective strategy so far. The value lead is going ever so slightly in favor of the Lizardmen, as they are getting cap points. Looks like Lizardmen have objective 2 over here on the side, and are fighting tooth and nail for the center. Looks like the snipe attempt is coming in on the caster. Caster should be able to get away just fine. He's not particularly slow, and that dino is kind of clunky, so we should be able to get to safety. But now Sigvald is in his sights, and without the charge to punt him away, Siggy should be taking a lot of big hits from this big dino. Spawner coming in to try and bail him out, as well as Applied Super must try and help him win his trade, which should help him trade a lot more favorably, but Flock of Doom coming out well with Tehanwen does have that ward save from his, not that one, this. 20% ward save while casting for 21 seconds, which makes him actually a really scary duelist when you've got 25% ward save a lot of the time. Seeker's coming on this side, trying to get on the Source Warriors, and with Devastating Flanker rear charge, should do some really, really nice work into the Source. Yeah, they're getting in there, doing some good work. They'll start whittling them down as they try and futilely chase the Skirmish Cav. Thunderous one is just grinding away. How many of these did he use already? Alright, 4 of those used, 500 value, clearing off a lot of these Slaanesh infantry, and they're struggling to get any cap weight on the points, really lacking that staying power against these big dinos. My lead is starting to even out, but a lot of that is on Tehanwen, who is just healing up. And the healing is actually a pretty big factor here. There's just a lot of damage value being soaked by these dinos, who aren't dying, they're healing up, they're still doing their jobs. Siggy's just trying to kick down this big down, but he's not AP. This guy's 160 armor. How is he going to chew through Tehanwen? Like, he's doing some good damage down in spite of it, but it's just a massive uphill battle for him. I figure Slaanesh is starting to overload the right flank, and they do capture objective 2, which is very, very bad for the Lizardmen. They're starting to fall behind in value as well, so they need to get something back out here to start trying to trade back. I do like Skink Jabs as an option, because they actually tear apart Hellstriders with their throwing weapons. So if they can actually get the opportunity to throw those weapons, they'll do tons and tons of damage. But it's kind of hard when Slaanesh is just so dominant in mobility, and are able to just do exactly like this, push the Skinks back. And it looks like they are, I'm not sure if they're running or if they're on auto skirmish mode. Looks like they're just, yeah. Turn to fire. Eat the charge, get these jabs into those guys, should do some nice damage if they hit. Okay, largely dodge, still some nice damage. Tehanwen is just grinding away at Sigvald. It's actually not doing quite as well as I thought. The spawn seems providing a lot of help. At 17 HP, it's still providing that on-contact effect. So Tehanwen's melee stats are nerfed a little bit. He's also lost his frenzy, which means he's going to be doing much, much more poorly in that duel, which is really, really unfortunate for the Lizardmen. But now the Thunderous one is coming over as well, and 2-on-1, I can't imagine they lose against Sigvald. Nice Pit of Shades, though, coming in to clear out the Saurus and actually give Sigvald a better fighting chance. That's got to be brutal for those lizards, and yeah. But now with the 2 big old dinos being on Stiggy, he's down to half HP. You can see his heal cap inside already. He actually needs to be very, very careful. With the Flock of Doom coming in as well, getting some nice damage down. Skirmcav are lending their aid from afar, but not doing a whole lot against, again, those massive armored dinos. On the right side, we do have a little bit of a traffic jam over here. A bunch of Skinks trying to slip right through here, and the Slaanesh is like, nope, we're just going to charge Skinks, make sure they can't fire, which is good. Skinks dying with this much ammo is huge, and that's most of their value right there gone. If Skinks actually just get out, spend their ammo, even if they die immediately in melee, they usually can pay for themselves, especially against the Seekers, the Hellstriders, the Skirmcav, all that elite squishy units. Well, maybe not elite, but middling. And they're very, very squishy, so those jabs do pretty good damage. Sigvald's in a lot of trouble, though. These 2 dinos are just beating on him. Just beating that Slaaneshi booty. You know, normally he's into this kind of stuff, but I don't think he's a fan of it at the moment. The Skirmish Cav are trying to lend their aid, but again, they're just trying to choose that tough hide of these big old dinos. Meanwhile, there is still a Rip Crystal as well, healing them up. Lizardmen seem to have a pretty dominant hold over the center objective. Some Skirmish Cav trying to contest, and the Mirror Guard even are starting to wear out. And Siggy is starting to rout. So a nice bombardment on those Skirm Cav. Siggy is routing. He's almost at his healing cap. The Flock of Doom coming around as well. Siggy's probably gone. Can they finish him off, though? Finishing him off would be huge. Slaanesh, you know, obviously doesn't terror route, so any leadership debuffs you can give them is actually pretty meaningful. But no, looks like he's going to get away for the moment. We'll see if he can actually be desummoned by the Slaanesh player at some point or not. But still, a pretty big win for the Lizardmen. Removing that big disruptive threat, moving that big grindy boy from the center objective. But Lizards are still down on objective and need to start getting on these side objectives pretty quickly. But Slaanesh is down most of their infantry. They don't have a whole lot of staying power. It's just these Cav running around trying to farm value, which is going pretty well for them so far. But once the more Saurus start coming back on the field, they're going to have a hard time just sustaining on these objectives. Hellstriders do get a nice surround on Tehanwen, but he has some Saurus to back him up, so this should be just fine. Tear apart these, again, lightly armored, low melee defense Slaanesh Cav. And these guys are low. Why are these guys such high melee attack? What's buffing their melee attack? Oh, it's just the Primal Instincts, which means they're hitting those Hellstriders really, really hard. Now the Flock of Doom coming in. What's Tehanwen's value up to? Already 3k value from him. Let's get the Thunderous one pursued to try and take out Sigvald, which is really unfortunate. He got caught. Does it have any of its bombardments left? This would be a beautiful time for it. No, it's out of them. Oh, that's so unfortunate. This is such a nice blob. Be a great spot for some, but looks like it is stuck. Yeah, it doesn't look that long for this one. There's nothing AP here. Stuck in them spears, but they don't hit very hard against the big armor. You know, it's just such a problem for Slaanesh. I almost wonder if you maybe like want to bring a Soul Grinder, just have that big anti-large AP threat. But as it is, like, this is one of the big weaknesses of Slaanesh. They don't have great anti-large arm to use it. You know, the Hellstriders aren't AP. They do alright surrounding things, but against the armor, they really just struggle to scratch them. Seekers are AP, but they aren't anti-large, and they can also kind of just take a lot of damage fighting those big singularities. So Slaanesh doesn't have a lot of good answers to these big armored dinos, and they're just tearing apart this battlefield. So Tanowin's already up to a ton of value. The Thunderous one's already doing a lot of work clearing that infantry. And it's making Slaanesh's life on the objectives really hard. And now just these dinos going deep has forced Slaanesh to come back and peel them off of their backline. And now the Lizardmen are just waltzing onto an undefended objective, which is really rough. And on the backside, they've got a skink backcap going on. There's a couple of Hellstriders here, which are no match for this many skink jabs. Like, the jabs alone will do loads of damage. Yeah, Hellstriders just going to route from the jab fight. The skink can just waltz on that point. And Slaanesh doesn't have the forces left on the battlefield to contest it. And now there is still one more laser coming down as well, just roasting all these spears, trying to save the Thunderous one, which I think he's probably done for unless he can get another heal off from the Red Crystal. Tanowin is still just grinding in this pit of Marauder Chaos Warriors, along with his Saurusy boys. And oh no, the Lizards stepped off the objective! They could have just capped, but they walked too far forward to take the fight. That's actually huge. If Slaanesh could just hold that objective for a while, they might actually get enough of a ticket lead to win it out, but I don't know, it's looking pretty good for the Lizards just by the eye test. There's not a whole lot of Slaaneshy forces left on the field. Siggy's gone, looks like the Caster is gone. There's not a lot of infantry, just a couple of Spawn and Horsemen holding on. These Chaos Warriors are pretty much helpless to stop Tanowin from just charging around doing whatever he wants. And the back cap has come in. What do we got? Devoted Marauder. Devoted Marauder, I mean, it'll beat one, maybe two of these guys, but if all three of these guys can surround it and get those jabs off, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. But the Hellstriders coming in as well to support it. Honestly, I'd love to see some Whip Hellstriders here. Like, there's just so much better against the infantry. They get like +10 melee attack and melee defense, but they lose the bonus versus large. So it's just so much better against the infantry. And the Skinks side by side are just firing straight into the shield, which is kind of unfortunate. Hellstriders as well as are shielded, so you kind of like to see them split up a little bit, but still getting some nice damage on these Hellstriders on the approach. And they should be able to shut down the Skink jabs, which will allow the Marauders to win that frontline engagement pretty heavily, which means Lizardmen will be losing the objective before too terribly long. But on the rest of the map, they're just having a really hard time. And the Lizards still capped objective too. They're so close. They're just taking a fight off the objective. I mean, they're winning the fight, but it's just taking so long. They need to cap that point. They'd be in such a good position if they'd capped that point already. More and more, yeah, Slaanesh is just trying to get out whatever units they can on the objectives, but they're just struggling. Like, Slaanesh is just gasping for air. They just don't have the units on the field to actually contest the width of the Lizards or shut down those dinos. The dinos are their last legs, but, I mean, when there's nothing to fight them, they can still do whatever they want. Their health is irrelevant if there's nothing to damage them. Like, the Chaos Warriors just don't scratch them. They're, you know, they're tanky, but they don't have AP, they don't have anti-large, they have nothing really to help fight this dino, so Tanowin's just free to go through. Skirmcav are coming to try and finish him off, but there are Skink Skirmishers here. Oh, no, this is Skink Javelin. Okay. Much easier to move around. They could try to threaten Tanowin, get him off. There are still Rev Crystal charges. I think I saw one go down not that long ago. Yeah, still more healing for Tanowin. He should be just fine. Lizardmen are getting back on this objective, but they're capping. There we go. And looks like we are potentially going to have a Lizard 3 cap. No, they're not going to hold this objective very long. Slaanesh will be able to snag back with number 3, and hopefully that from there they can actually rotate back towards the center and try to leverage the advantage they have by controlling this one side of the map. But I don't think it's going to happen. There's too many Saurus towards the center. Lizardmen seem to have a pretty solid control of the center and are fighting very effectively on the right side. Just a couple of spears versus a lot of large things. So I think this is going pretty well for the Lizards. There's just not a whole lot left for Slaanesh. The value lead's in their favor, although the value lead's probably even a lot more in their favor because of all the healing we've gotten from the Rev Crystal, as well as the fact there's probably, you know, 2,000-3,000 value on Tanowin, and Tanowin's still doing what he wants. Like, he's taken, you know, I don't know, like 9,000-10,000 damage, and he's still just wandering around doing what he wants. Okay, he does start the route now, but I feel like it's too late. He's kind of done what he wanted to do. He's cleared out all the enemy infantry and just left all these Hellstriders and Skirmcav and Spawn unsupported, just allowing his spears and his skirmishers to actually do a lot of work. And Slaanesh is just forced to pour more and more resources over here to objective number 3 to just kick out a couple of skink jabs. It's just like 400, you know, to 800 gold worth of skink jabs, holding down 5 Slaanesh units. Each one of them costs more than the skink jabs. It feels really bad for Slaanesh, especially when you are in a time crunch. Your opponent has the 2 cap and you're in a lot of trouble. And now Lizardmen are going to try to actually rotate over to objective 3 and try to get the 3 cap and really close the vice around Slaanesh. I don't know if Slaanesh can get back on these objectives. This is looking like a really, really effective tactic from Housecat. You know, Lizardmen were definitely the heavy underdogs coming into this. Slaanesh being, you know, the best faction in the game for so long. But this seems to be a really nice build. Like I like the Tanowin innovation. Well, he's getting rounded off now, but he ran amok for 14 minutes, got 4,000 value, killed Siggy, just did loads and loads of damage to Chaos Warriors, which is the hardest part for Lizards in this match, was killing all those silver shielded Chaos Warriors. And having those big dinos come in and be completely, well, not completely, but largely uncontested and able to just run amok through the enemy front line is huge. So, because like I feel like the skink skirms and the skink jabs are actually pretty good at corralling the Slaanesh mobility. They're really lightly armored cav is actually really weak to all the javelins. So if you just have some kind of heavy hitting power to clear those Chaos Warriors, it feels pretty good. So Tanoin did route off. We still have the Rev Crystal here with no ammo left, so no more poison, which isn't a huge deal. Thunderous one is routing off on the far side as well. Again, he did get pretty good value though. And Slaanesh just doesn't have a whole lot of forces even over here. Devoted Marauders and a couple of Hellstriders. We do have the Pit of Shades caster came back. He cast one Pit of Shades and got desummoned. I guess he had one, like 20 WOM for one more Pit of Shades, just one last gasp from the Sorcerer. We do have a second wind coming in here from Slaanesh. The Pit of Shades as well as the Chaos Warriors and Devoted Marauder spawn means that they will actually get one last attempt to take this objective, and if they can hold it for just a few minutes, they'll actually be able to squeak out a win in this game, but I don't see it happening. There's just so many Saurus. Just so many massive lizard bodies just grinding into those Slaanesh Chaos Warriors. Yeah. Chaos Warriors will win that eventually, but with all the support they're getting, the Poison, the Bastiladon, even if they are going to win, it's going to take them so long, but by the time they do, Lizards will have to overtake them in the tickets, which they are doing just now. Lizards have the lead, and now it's really on Slaanesh to get on these objectives, and they just are struggling to do so. They just don't have the forces in the field. There's still a Saurus threatening the back cap, which means they got to dedicate to something else over here. They're also losing the center, so they got to get more forces over here to really take these objectives. And Housecat's doing a very, very good job of just pulling his opponent apart and demanding resources in multiple locations. And yeah, I think Slaanesh is out for this one. I think we've got a Lizardman victory on our hands. So we got a fascination on these skink skirmishers, but nothing really to punish, so they'll rampage and rampage and rampage, but there's nothing really for them to get punished by. More Chaos Warriors coming in, but like I said, they'll beat these Saurus, but it's going to take them several minutes to do so. And by the time that happens, the Lizards are sitting right on the edge of the objective, so they can take the fight and still be on the objective themselves, but the Slaanesh units can't get on the objective. More and more Marauders and Chaos Warriors coming in, but I don't know. Bastiladon still kicking around, charging through them, doing whatever it can to do damage. Saurus over here are just attacking in every direction. They're actually just, surrounded. Now we can attack in any direction. Doing lots and lots of work against all the lightly armored Slaanesh units over here. Hellstrider Spears actually really struggle to kill infantry. You really need the whip Hellstriders. I'm kind of surprised we aren't seeing more of them. I quite like them to Lizards. They do a good job of mopping up the Skinks, mopping up the Saurus. With two full health, one full health, one half health Saurus coming in here, just some Skirm Cav defending. I think that's going to be a 3 cap for the Lizards. I think Slaanesh, Yeah, I'm seeing green. I don't know about y'all, but I am seeing green, and I am happy to see it. Like I said, Slaanesh has been top dog for a very long time, so it's kind of nice to see them actually bite a bullet for once. Saurus taking this 3 cap, and that's gonna be game. Like I said, very interesting builds, yeah. Thunderous 1 to Tanoin combo seemed to do really, really good work. The Engine of the Gods was nice. The Laser Beam was nice for clearing armored infantry, as well as the unit just charging around itself. The ability to beat down Sigvald and make sure that he isn't that just constant sticky presence on an objective, just grinding through Saurus, debuffing their melee attack, and just being unkillable. Actually getting rid of him that easily is huge. Thunderous 1 as well, just clearing out the armored infantry. Didn't quite pay for itself, but it did a job nothing else in this build could, which was killing those Chaos Warriors. Like, the Silver Shield Chaos Warriors are such a problem for Lizardmen. They beat your Saurus, they have Silver Shield and armor, so they're pretty much immune to all your jab fire. So you gotta bring some kind of dino to really deal with them. Gotta bring maybe Sally's, but I don't know. This Thunderous 1 did really, really good work. So, but that's all we have for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.